The first step is not writing code when you are building a startup, nor is it drawing out what you want it to look like on the back of a napkin, nor is it going, this is my idea. The first step truly in starting a successful startup is you need to be clearly defining the problem. Now, how do you do that? So in the video today, we're going to talk how do you define the problem, how do you test it, make sure you've understood it correctly, and we'll give 3 real examples from people and clients that we've worked with or prospective clients that I've spoken to as part of my studio to help illustrate exactly how this works. Now, when we talk about defining the problem clearly, that means, yes, writing it out, but it means, for example, talking to people who you believe or know have this issue and understanding from them, what does it actually look like? So for example, there's a fantastic app that is actually escaping me the name, but one of our clients, they're a roofing company. And they use this app where their team, when they're going on climbing on the roofs of homes or office blocks or whatever, they're using this app to take photos and they're able to dictate, talk into the microphone, the condition of the roof, and it's able to pair their voice transcript with the photos, and it's able to create a report of the condition of the roof, right? That's a fantastic app. And they also make an awful lot of money. But they're solving a very specific problem in a very specific way. And it was created by roofers. Like the people that actually came up with this have a background in roofing. And so what they're doing is that they know very intimately the problem because they have that problem, right? And it's hard to go up and, for example, take pictures of the roof and climb down off the roof and start writing out a report, either typing it up or writing it by hand. And that is the way that most people traditionally would do this. And that makes it just hard, right? Or you're up on the roof and you have to type into your iPad or your iPhone. It's hard. And so they knew very intimately the problem. And they had the problem and their team had the problem. And other people that they know who run roofing businesses have that same problem. And so because they got to know really intimately exactly how the problem occurs, and they know exactly the end result people want, and they're able to present a very easy, seamless way for people to get to the end result that they want faster and easier, they solve a problem, and that problem occurs all the time, and it saves the roofing company's time, it's more accurate, and it makes it easier for the roofers. So the roofers do a better job. And so now suddenly, this small problem about recording the condition of a roof has suddenly become something so much more. And that really comes from really intimately knowing all the detail about the problem. Now, the other thing that's really, really important is actually, in some way, testing the solution before you go about building it. So often I end up speaking with people who want to build some kind of marketplace, a marketplace application. What that means is there's normally a buyer side and a seller side. So for example, eBay is a very well-known example, or Craigslist, or websites like this, where you have someone who's looking to sell something, Facebook Marketplace as well, or you have people who are looking to buy something, right? And you need to pair the two together. Now, a lot of the big problem here is not even the tech. The tech of a marketplace is actually a solved problem in that there's a clear way to do it. It's complex, it takes a lot of time, and building a marketplace application is actually quite expensive and time-consuming to do, but it's certainly doable. But the biggest issue in any kind of marketplace startup or business is not even the tech. It's actually getting enough people on the platform in the first place to want to sell something and buy something. So for example, you might imagine Airbnb. Airbnb would be a pretty terrible company if there was no one who wanted to rent out their home, right? So you need to build the stock of people who are willing to rent out their home, but that's hard to do if you don't already have people who are waiting and ready to rent or buy it. And so you need both sides of your marketplace in place to build a proper marketplace application. Now, for example, let's just say that there's a company who are doing something like, let's say, selling cheeses, right? Luxury cheeses. You might have the sell side of people who are cheese producers, and you might have the buy side of cheese enthusiasts who are looking to buy the cheese, right? In that case, it's like, well, we can build the two sides of it. And you might imagine, I'm sure there are companies out there who already say a cheese enthusiast magazine, right? And they probably have readers and subscribers who are probably cheese enthusiasts who are interested in buying cheese, and cheese producers who are interested in selling cheese. That cheese magazine would be very well placed, and they would have an advantage in developing that two-sided marketplace because they already have access to buyers and sellers. They might put out an email and they can test the idea before they even do it by saying, hey, please indicate your interest if you're a cheese seller who's interested in joining our platform, right? Or they might have advertisers in their magazine who are already interested, and they can just say, hey, are you interested? Yes, I am. Perfect, right? So that they can test the idea beforehand, and now they can establish both sides of the marketplace because they already have a bunch of subscribers or past subscribers they can promote the marketplace to, and they already have the suppliers. And so they would have an advantage, and that's the best way to do it. Obviously, if you don't own a cheese magazine, or if you don't already have that audience, marketplace application becomes much harder to build because you have to not only build the tech, which is expensive, but you also need to go and spend probably quite a tremendous amount of money in actually getting both sellers and buyers for your marketplace. Now, then the third thing is like, okay, well, that's a problem, and maybe we can strip it down and do something else. But the third point really is going, well, what is truly the problem? And going back to the very first point of like, you need to define the problem clearly. Well, I'm going to keep my cheese marketplace. But imagine I don't have a cheese, maybe I'm a cheese enthusiast and I think, you know what, it'd be great to have somewhere I can go and buy cheese or cheese and wine or, whatever. But that doesn't exist. But I also don't have some big network of cheese people. So how do I do that? Well, for example, maybe I go, I want to solve one side of the marketplace's problem first. So what if I could build something that's very valuable for cheese producers? Let's say I build a site, maybe similar to Shopify, if you're familiar with Shopify, that allows cheese producers to go on. They can upload their cheeses, and they have a storefront a bit like Shopify. Now, they're responsible to manage their own effectively website, and they can just use it to sell. But now I'm trying to solve the problem and understand the problem of the seller of cheeses. Because, for example, maybe the way cheeses work for inventory is very specific because they have expiration dates. So I need to build into my software the ability for cheese producers to manage when certain batches of cheese are going to be ready for sale and when they might expire, or manage inventory or do other things. And now I'm defining more clearly the problem of, in this case, the seller, but I'm able to do that. It's much more smaller. It's much constrained. And that's going to be advantageous because I can get more clear on the problem of one side of that marketplace, for example, and then I can expand what I'm trying to do. And I can reach out to all of my users and say, hey, we're going to be releasing now like this centralized thing where we're going to pull the best of everyone together and we're going to start promoting it out ourselves. And everyone's like, free sales, amazing. But we've already got in place the sellers. And that's going to come from, though, that really understanding deeply the problem of, in this case, the cheese sellers. And so that's really the big three things. Make sure you define the problem clearly, talk to real people who have the problem, and then test solutions before building it as much as you can. And that's going to be the way that you really succeed in building out your MVP. Now, we are always helping day after day founders take this right first step. If you need any help at all, look at the description of the video below, and happy to help out however we can. Thanks.